Hi, it's Cara Brown, and this is Watercolor Conversations. It's a place where I share my love of watercolor and my seeking, my teaching, my discoveries, the connections I see, and just in general what it's like to be alive at this time here on planet Earth. I hope that this meets a part of you that's longing to be met. Thanks for being here. Hi, it's Cara. I know it's time for a new episode. Okay, so last Tuesday, I was out in the little vegetable patch in our front yard picking some vegetables, and then I came on in and did a bunch of cooking, and I decided I would see what was in my archive that might strike something. I came upon a post from almost exactly 10 years ago. It was called Destruction Before Creation, and it really resonated with what's going on in my life right now, so I thought I would revisit it and share it with you along with some more thoughts afterwards. I had gone to see my dear friend Julia and to meet her brand new son, who's now 10. Julia and I have a magical connection. There's a pretty big gap in our ages, almost a couple of decades, but we have a powerful bond that feels older than this lifetime. We first met 9 years before I wrote this, so oh my gosh, almost 20 years ago, when I was starting this odyssey of becoming a full-time artist. She worked at Light Rain Imaging, and she did the first reproductions of my paintings. When she told me that she was leaving her job to move to Paris to teach English to French school children, I told her, oh my goodness, that is so great. And then, can I have your job? This began a connection that has involved being together in Paris, in New York. And when she came back from New York, sharing the job at Light Rain back and forth, also just being bosom buddies, sharing the artist journey because Julia also makes art, and a passion for sorting out how partnership works between the masculine and the feminine. That's a very specific thing, but it is one of the things that we share. During that visit, she suggested that I choose from a deck of inspiration cards that were written by Danielle Laporte, who's a teacher, coach, and she offers white-hot truth in service of people living no kidding lives of their own creation. I love oracle cards, and I believe the cards we choose are not just happenstance, but they have real messages for us. The card I picked said, Destruction Before Creation. Really? This one? I know, no perky platitudes come from Danielle Laporte, but I really didn't want that card. I'd rather have a nice card, not one that tells me to destroy. Julia said the card was mine to take with me. It's not an accident that I forgot it when I left. Even without the card in hand, though, the message did not leave me. And I was asking myself, what needs to be destroyed? At that point in time, our dog was Bo, and I hiked most mornings up a fire road that takes off from the other side of the little neighborhood we lived in then. It's on private property, and the owner had been pursuing developing the land. The previous week, he had a bulldozer up there clearing away along the fire road a whole lot of poison oak and non-native Scotch broom. Some of my fellow hikers were having a hard time with it. The heavy equipment made an immediate, drastic change. I got where they were coming from, and I would think that I might have been there too, but I actually was loving it. The road had originally been carved out 40 or 50 years before that, so it wasn't already pristine, untouched nature, and it was then now wide open, like all the cobwebs had been brushed away. We could see the live oak trees, their contours, and then the views of the hills beyond. It was refreshing, even exciting to me. On the hike the day before I wrote this, I was feeling that excitement, and it occurred to me then that this may be the energy that can come from destruction, the wisdom that was in that card. The weekend before this, I had done the San Anselmo Art and Wine Festival. Looking back to a post that I wrote a year before this, about the same festival, I was questioning whether I should still do it. But that previous year's Sunday brought sweet moments of grace, including someone falling in love with August Bounty, one of my paintings, and taking it home, which left me thinking it was still a good thing to show up to. That year that I wrote this post had been an altogether different one, starting with the fact that the producer gave me a crappy spot down where no one goes, hardly, and then they were downright rude to me when I inquired about possibly being moved to where I'd requested to be. I mean, I was one of the very few fine artists in this show. It's a street festival with lots of all kinds of crafty things, even imported things. And I thought maybe I was due a nicer spot. For the first time in 10 years of doing that festival, there was a lot of conversation amongst people there about it. I heard, they call this an art festival? So where's the actual art? It had become a street fair, and my work didn't belong there anymore. I bet I'm not alone in this, but I seem to need a negative experience to realize that I'm done with something. That weekend was that for me. There have been years that I have done as many as 7 art festivals. That year it was just 2. The following year, the only thing on my radar was going to be the Sausalito Art Festival. But this is how most of the people in my groups have found me, and most of those who've ended up with my art in their homes as well. So if I don't show my paintings at all these shows, how will we find each other? I wondered. I didn't know. And I thought, there will be a way. Sometimes we just know things. After healing from the initial raw emotion of ending my first marriage, I don't know why, but I knew I'd be married again. Because I knew the kind of man I'd end up with would be a guy's guy, I made myself a girl house with white carpet and white furniture, expecting that he would likely not feel at home with feminine decor like that. I had that same knowing about my art finding its way into the world. And in order to find our way into the next thing, we have to stop putting energy into the things that are no longer ours to do. For me, that was outdoor art festivals. I had to destroy that part of what I do. There's a ton of energy, psychic and physical, that it takes to do these events. And I knew that what was next wouldn't come through if I'm squandering that energy where it no longer serves me. This artwork it still has been put in me for what feels like a purpose. I don't make these paintings for my own private enjoyment, mostly. These paintings are for people in the world who want and even need them. That purpose has a will, an energy, and a drive that will find a way. It felt strange to think at that point in time that I wouldn't be doing these events. There was a voice telling me that I was slacking. What else will I do? It's hard to stop doing things. Most of us are wired to preserve, not to destroy. But nature has her own cycles of destruction too, like wildfires. A century of suppressing nature's destructive fires has created forests that are out of balance. And when they do catch fire, the result is catastrophic. So as I was writing, it occurred to me, and I wasn't even sure what it meant yet, but I needed to create a haven, like I did with my girl house for myself. I need to create this haven for my art life, a way station until the next thing that will put my bigger energies into shows up. The sound of that brought me some peace. I could just lead my art groups, care for my body, paint my love, and then see what arises in the space created. I wrote here that the best thing about that past weekend was talking to people who came by about their beginning or returning to paint and how I might help them. A common theme was having the desire to paint and not doing so because other things get in the way. With this insight, when I hear this again, I'm going to offer the suggestion, I thought, to see what might need to be destroyed first. There are seeds in the forest floor that need the heat of fire in order for them to germinate. It's just a law of nature. When we make space, something comes in. But first, we do need to make space. As I wrote this 10 years ago, and as I record this now, it's high fire season here in the West, and it's a tricky metaphor. But maturing and becoming more conscious allows us to work with powerful forces in skillful ways. So I've been learning, continue to learn, because it's still a challenge, to embrace destruction. Because it is part of the cycle. It's part of the cycle. So what happened then? What happened after I stopped doing those festivals was a second color workshop came through, a whole series for beginners and for those really wanting to review and deepen their skills called Watercolor Basics and Beyond. Then in the years that followed, a podcast. Hello, this. I wasn't doing that when I did that last festival. Then in 2023 came a brand new studio space of my own. At the time that I wrote this post, I was still my mother's guest at her real estate office. She hadn't yet retired. All of that came through because I wasn't trotting my stuff out onto the streets and in the parks in order to do festivals. Beyond that, what has germinated is the idea to write books, some art-related books, and a couple of different memoirs. They are ongoing. I still struggle to find time to do them, but they are absolutely alive in me. There is no shortage of creation that wants to come through. And then the wonders of timing, I went to go see one of my dear friends, who's also one of my Friday artists, do one of her first weekend outdoor festivals in a 10 by 10 booth like I had done. I counted 45 times in the 10 years that I was doing festivals. And she was on fire. She was doing so well with sales. She did a beautiful job presenting her artwork. And I had this funny thought. Oh God, I am so done doing this. There's a little, they call it an art and wine festival, but it's really a street festival. There's very little art at it in my new town where I live now in California. And I had considered doing it in June, thinking it would be a good way to let this town know that I'm here and that I have a studio where I offer workshops. And I got an opportunity instead to judge the art for our local fine arts exhibit at our county fair, which is quite an amazing opportunity. And I decided to do that instead. Plus, I had just returned from Paris earlier the week before that, and I was thinking that energetically that probably would have been really challenging to do my first festival in something like 7 years, dealing with jet lag. So I don't know. I may do it next year. It's one festival. It's really close to home. My husband said he would help me. But as a way of life, as a regular diet throughout my summers, I am so done doing these art festivals. The destruction of that as a way of life that came about because they all went away. It was amazing. Each one by one, even the Sausalito Art Festival was my mainstay and a great opportunity to have the world know that Cara Brown, watercolorist, is out there. It went away. It did not survive the pandemic. Oh, and there was another thing that came through after I stopped doing festivals that I forgot to mention, and that is that I started teaching online. I hadn't taught online before that. The question before me now is whether or not I'm going to do life in full color calendars as I have for the past dozen or more years. I do absolutely everything from conceive of them and do the design in the computer to order them, to front the money for them, to put them on the website, to pack and ship them all of these calendars. It's all me. And it's an enormous project to take me through the fall and winter. Last year, the sales were nothing like they have been. They just fell off. I don't know what happened, but people stopped wanting these calendars. There are some of you out there, maybe not you listeners, but there are people in my world who are completely, wonderfully devoted to them. And they look forward to it every year. I am not sure what I'm going to do. I'm living in the unknowing about it. We'll see if there's someone else who wants to come in to help make this happen. But I know that there's a destruction of some way in which it has been that is before me. And it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit in this place. So I ask you, is there something out there that needs to be destroyed in your life, because there's something new that wants to be born in us always. It's the way of the universe. We keep evolving. New things keep emerging. It's how it is. Okay, thank you. Thanks for being along for this episode today. I so appreciate that you're out there. I hope you are doing whatever you can with your life and with your love. Till next time. Bye-bye.